Hello, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 27th of July, 2026, brought to you by our partners at SEKO, your no-nonsense end-to-end logistics partner. It's Gary here again, and here we go. It's game week. It's real, true, competitive game week, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. It's been a long time coming, and in this last wee while has made it feel like it's coming up very, very, very quickly here. And of course, we're starting with a Friday night game, which is a wee bit odd, but something to kind of break up the work week a wee bit, certainly at the end anyway. So yeah, about bloody time for us to get there. And of course, it's been another summer of monumental change at the club with the new manager and his coaching staff coming in, and then the various other leadership changes that have taken place, and then of course the reframing of the squad. And it feels like we've done that every single year, and every single year it seems like we're in this position where we're like, finally feels like we've got this, we've got it, we've got what we need. Last year was a wee bit different because the energy was a wee bit different around Russell Martin. We were all kind of hoping it was going to go well, but anticipating that it wasn't going to go well. And I think the way that it went was even worse than anybody could have imagined. And I think the club did the right thing by making the change, and then of course the season played out the way that it played out, and we're really looking. I'm really looking forward to seeing what a Derek McInnes Rangers team looks like. And he mentioned on the weekend, I think during one of the press conferences, whether it be before or after the friendly game against West Ham, where he acknowledged the fact that we have not got off to a good start in many of the recent seasons. I can't actually remember a season when we got off to a really, really solid start. I go back to 55, and that's the kind of benchmark from that. I was going to do a wee bit of research prior to today to see when the last time we won a game on the first game of the season was, but it doesn't really matter, because the seasons worked out the way that they worked out. But it matters now in terms of our ability to go and to be able to go to Tannadice and put a marker down and say, if anyone is going to take points off of Rangers this season, you're going to have to work your socks off to get those points, and you're going to have to work very, 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 very hard. And not every team has had to say that in seasons gone by. So hopefully, I'm very, very excited. Of course, it's the last one in July. We're into August, and really, really looking forward to see what that does. In the last week, we've seen a whole bunch of nonsense and madness and stupidity and just general craziness, haven't we? And Derek McInnes got the four match ban, which was one of them was suspended or whatever it is they do. I don't understand why they do that, But anyway, essentially a 3-match ban, which Rangers have appealed. I imagine the appeal is going to be at some point this week, so that we would know prior to the season starting. But what I loved about this was obviously a wee bit awkward because, as I mentioned last week, the fellow from Motherwell who got the 4-match ban left and went to another team in another country, so he doesn't have to, Motherwell are not penalised by that, the player is not penalised by that, and he only would be should he come back to Scotland. And for Rangers, it's different because we've got our new manager in place and we want him to be in the dugout for all of the games, not just select ones. And this happened when he was at Hearts. It was material to Hearts and that mob from the East End. It wasn't material to Rangers at any point because we'd already blown it by that particular time. But what I loved was the wording that Rangers used in the statement that came out. And I'm going to read it out here. Respect for officials and legitimate scrutiny are not competing principles. Love that. Are not competing principles. Managers, players and clubs must be able to speak honestly about major decisions if Scottish football is serious about raising standards and maintaining trust. Scrutiny, transparency and accountability should be seen as part of improving standards, not as a threat to them. So if anybody truly understands the spirit behind that, you know and understand the club are really coming at this from a not so subtle way of saying, what did we do wrong? And why is that wrong? That he comes out and says that's a disgusting decision. There was no attack on the official. There was no attack on the governing bodies of the game or anything. And it's entertainment. Like, they're interviewing players and managers after games when there's still adrenaline's buzzing, adrenaline's pumping, and they're in the heat of the battle. and they're looking for a soundbite. They're looking for a headline in the newspapers the next again day, and they got it on that particular occasion. He thought it was disgusting. Shows where that breaks the rules. And then, of course, now people are digging up previous times where, for example, Brendan Rodgers, when he was managing that mob from the East End, had came out and said, John Beaton cost us. And he literally mentioned the referee's name. Forgive me if it wasn't John Beaton. I'm pretty sure it was John Beaton, but one of the referees anyway named him and said he cost us the game, or he cost us some points, whatever the parameters were around that particular game. So they're making a rod for themselves, I have to say, and it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see what happens this week. I can't imagine they're going to back down from a 4-match ban with one suspended to 0. So it's going to be interesting when they come back, if Rangers say, well, okay, 2's cool, or 1 fair enough, or if they're going to come back and say, nope, that's nowhere near good enough, and wrap them up in admin that gives us the opportunity to have them in the dugout until it's finished. Who knows how that's going to go? But we're reaching some potentially unprecedented times here where Rangers are going to actually start to go after things properly. And I say properly, not that they have never followed the rules before, but they've actually genuinely went after the injustices that have happened, rather than just saying, well, we tried, we followed the rules, and that's just the way it has to play out, and that's just the rules of the competition. Nah, not really. So we'll see what that looks like. And of course, the statement of the findings were published last week in terms of the disturbances that happened at the Scottish Cup Old Firm game towards the end of last season there, and that some were legit and some were just garbage, just like utter nonsense and garbage, like blaming Broxy Bear. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will have seen the thumbnail, and I've selected a thumbnail specifically to support Broxy Bear in this unscrupulous victimization. It's animal cruelty, quite frankly, is what it is, based on this report, and it's just mental. And then they've come out with some legitimate things. Obviously, there were some security challenges and such. Both clubs have come out with their responses to the report, still in kind of, but we didn't do that much wrong, and you have to look at the other folks and pointing outside and things like that. Rangers, I thought, I'm very biased, but Rangers came out and said, we told them this was going to happen. Basically, they were more couth than that. But we told them this was going to happen. And it's exactly what happened. And then look what happened at the end. And then we were just defending. Like, if none of them came on the field, we're not coming on the field. They had previous for this in games leading up to that game and after that game as well. So there's a pattern here, not with this team, with their team. So we'll see what that looks like. And then, of course, the one big thing that was missing there was the insistence of the SFA to say we're going to honour the traditional allocations for ticket disbursements, which was what, or allocations, I should say, which is what Rangers were saying. That's a bad idea. And in Rangers' statement, Rangers came out and said there is no plans whatsoever to go back to those previous allocations. They'll get what they get, and that's it. So still lots to come on that, and I hope that the right people at the club are dealing with this, and it's not causing a distraction in any way to the first team. I'm sure Derek and team will make sure that that's the case. But the club fighting the corner, you look at some of the statements and we're always kind of like, you used to say a wee bit more, you used to went a wee bit further. I think these statements, based on Derek McInnes and based on the disturbances at the Old Firm game, are a step change. They're a step above the niceties that we would share from previous communication regimes. So we'll see what that looks like. And if that's what they're saying in public, you can imagine that there's certainly more dogged and more bullish in the background too. So yeah, interesting times. For the last time in this close season, I'll give you a very, very quick game overview. We had 2 friendlies since the last time we met. One was a 2-1 win, I should say, over St Etienne on, I think that was Wednesday. Penalties from Lawrence Shankland and Taylor Asgard. And then we had the friendly against West Ham yesterday, which was an entertaining 0-0 draw, wasn't it? It was quite entertaining, and we obviously no goals to report on there, but some good game time and some changes in formation, as the manager talked about afterwards, to give people some minutes and give people a chance. And of course, the big thing, I think I mentioned this last week, I hope I did, we he tinkered again with the captaincy and gave Dujon Sterling the captaincy, and then he's said subsequently he has made up his mind about who is going to lead the club out on Friday, and it's going to be very, very interesting. That's going to be one of the talking points up to and including that time. We might get a wee bit of an overview during the press conferences, which are going to happen on Wednesday for Friday's game, as to if he brings out, say, for example, I'm just a pure example, I don't know anything about anything, but if he brings out Manny Fernandez or Lawrence Shankland or whomever for the interview, as well as himself for the first formal, competitive game interview, it'll be interesting. Then that will be the rumour mill starting at that point. So we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, it looked like a guy that I've been supporting for a long time. Tello Asgard had a good game yesterday and really imposing himself on the game and showing us what he's capable of. Just bring that into the competitive games, Tello, and you could be an absolute diamond for us for this season. I really, really, truly hope that is the case. So the next games for us are, of course, Friday the 31st of July, away to Dundee United in the Scottish Premiership. And that is a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. If you are in the Calgary area, please come down and join us at Pinbar. Pinbar will be open and we will get the game on there. That actually reminds me, I need to go down and do the updates to the computer to make sure that we don't have any hassle, or maybe I'll just go down to the pub early. I don't know. I'll figure that out. But we'd love to see you down there on Friday, and a great kickoff time. I like those kickoff times, and it gives us a chance to just kind of get together and do that. And as I mentioned earlier, we need to start the season strongly. 3 points is an absolute must, and then we hopefully sit atop the league until Monday, because there's games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then just keep going from there. But starting full bore, absolutely pedal to the metal, is an absolute key for us as well. And then we go straight into European qualification against that team that I butchered last week, Jagiellonia Ballysag. I'm looking forward to not having to say that again. Then that's on August the 6th and the 13th, and then after that, we're going to have after that, there's going to be the Hibs game on the 9th, and then after that, there's going to be the League Cup game, because the League Cup draw was made yesterday, and we are drawn at home to St Mirren on the weekend of the 15th or 16th. It will be the 16th because we're playing the Thursday European game. So that is, we're going to be right back into it. These game segments are going to be a wee bit longer, but I try not to overdo it with the game segments, so we'll see what that looks like. On to the shout-outs for this week. The shout-outs were kind of sparse for this week until about an hour ago, and then I got a couple of texts from my good friend Brian Campbell, and I now have lots to do. I'm actually looking at my notes right now. There's a lot, so I'm going to read these ones out. But I did want to start off with a genuine thank you on behalf of the NARSA executive and hopefully the NARSA visitors and members and member clubs, of course, to Colin Bowman and what Colin has been doing in the background over the last year, but certainly with a more concerted effort over the last few months, is really standardising and operationalising our communications efforts in the background, focusing specifically on the website for this particular segment, which I'm going to thank him for. Whereas we weren't 100% sure who owned the domain and where it was hosted and things like that. We had Chris Lovett, who was helping us out from 2018 up to a couple of years ago, and we just kind of lost sight of what that looked like. So Colin's really been doing a lot of digging over the last wee while, some trial and error. We got him connected with Chris to see exactly what was happening. And then I'm pleased to say, I'm not going to get into all the details because I really don't really know what happened, to be honest. But we now have full control over and visibility into our website domain and our hosting. And we have that under our control now, which is no mean feat. So what that's going to end up giving us the platform to do is getting us an opportunity to standardise what we're doing from a website perspective, and then also get some appropriate email addresses for the NARSA executives. So right now it's all personal email addresses that we use, and we're now going to get, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be president@narsa.ca, something like that, or vice president@narsa.ca, whatever that looks like. But professionalise it a wee bit, and that's through It's a wee bit separate from the website work. It's through Google Workspace and such, but there's been a whole bunch of work, building blocks put into place in terms of our not-for-profit status, and then working and getting not-for-profit status with Google, and then getting the website domain. A whole bunch of stuff you don't see, folks, and a whole bunch of stuff that's very, very, very important. And he's a problem solver. He put in the work, and him and Chris did what needed to be done. Not an easy task whatsoever. It would have been very, very easy to just say, stuff this. I'm not gonna do with it. But he stuck with it. Did an absolutely great job, and these thankless tasks that happen behind the scenes help us operate and perform a wee bit better as an executive, and it will be much, much easier from a handoff perspective as we get to election time in 2027 to whomever is going to be taking over if Colin decides not to run again. So yeah, thank you very, very much once again to Chris Lovett for all of his help and support in doing this, and of course, massive thank you to Colin for persevering and doing what needs to be done on behalf of NARSA. So I have a couple of Orange County Ranger Supporters Club related shout outs here, and if you forgive me, I'm going to just read these out. I try and do them a wee bit organically most of the time, but this, I want to make sure I get all the facts and figures right on this. So congratulations to Orange County's Darren Campbell and his wife Michelle on the arrival of their baby girl Valentina Isla Campbell. What a beautiful name. That is born on the 24th of July at 8:18 p.m, weighing 5 pounds 11 ounces. In the passenger seat of Darren's car on the corner of Pacific Coast Highway, Huntington Beach, in front of the Jack in the Box. And this part here is from the social media post that I believe Darren put out. Our little princess decided she wasn't waiting another minute and showed up 15 days early. Michelle was nothing short of a superhero, delivering her daughter in the car with no pain medication, while I somehow found myself on my knees holding the top of her head until a couple of hero firefighters arrived to take over the hardest part. Mind-blowing, unforgettable, terrifying, chaotic, and the rest. Welcome to the world, beautiful girl. That's enough excitement for 21 years. Oh my word, can you believe that? Getting, having a baby is a monumental experience for anyone out there who's been fortunate enough to be part of that. But under those circumstances, I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. But what a brilliant story. And thankfully, mother and baby are doing okay. And Darren has probably had a couple of bevies just to kind of calm his nerves a wee bit there. But absolutely brilliant story. And congratulations to everyone involved in that. Just absolutely tremendous. And in keeping with the Orange County theme, this one is a plea for some support as well. So the Orange County Ranger Supporters Club would like to ask our friends and family for some help with a GoFundMe page we launched for our member Dougie McDougall. And Dougie, or Douglas, Dougie is the younger brother of former NARSA President Stuart McDougall. Everyone will know Stuart, of course. And for the past 8 weeks, Dougie has been fighting for his life in the hospital, spending all but 10 days of the last 8 weeks in the intensive care unit. And he's faced a series of severe medical challenges, including respiratory pneumonia, a severe blood infection, and collapsed lungs caused by pulmonary edema, forgive me, my writing is terrible here, and requiring a ventilator to breathe. Fortunately, this is the best part, there is encouraging news. Dougie briefly woke up last week and has begun speaking words, despite having a tracheostomy tube in place. And while this is a crucial step forward, he still faces a long and difficult road to recovery and long-term rehabilitation. Dougie has always been the main provider for his family. His sons Andrew and Ian are doing everything they can to support him, while his granddaughters Kinsley and Delia are eagerly waiting for their grandpa to return home. And to be by his side during the recovery, Andrew and Ian will need to take significant time off work. Without their regular income, the family faces mounting medical bills, everyday living expenses, and the costs of ongoing care. Any donation towards Dougie's care and his family's needs would mean so much. No amount is too small, and every contribution helps ease the burden during this difficult time. If you're able to donate, please consider sharing the fundraising with others. Every dollar donated will go directly to Dougie's medical expenses, including his hospital stay, therapies, and follow-up appointments, as well as helping Andrew and Ian bridge the gap in lost wages so they can focus entirely on his recovery. So apologies for butchering some of the medical terms there. I am terrible at this. I am looking at my notes here and realizing that either I need a bigger screen or I might need an eye test. Let's try the bigger screen first next time. But I know Dougie has always been very, very welcoming to me anytime I visited the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the brother of Stuart and the McDougals have been fantastic, massively fantastic servants to Rangers and to NARSA over the year, and supporters of NARSA too. So I will put the link in the show notes to the GoFundMe page. And as Brian and team say, if there's anything, no amount is too small. So even if you have £1 or 50 pence or $1 or whatever it is you can afford, please don't hesitate to say, I really don't have anything, that's all I can afford, because every single pound or every single dollar, every single penny will absolutely help Dougie and family in this ongoing recovery. You know what? I'm feeling much, much better about Dougie's situation, because Brian and I are obviously in touch all the time, and it sounded very, very difficult. I mean, obviously 8 weeks and all but 10 of those days and being in intensive care is a massive deal. That's grave. And to hear that he is talking, and to hear that he's able to communicate with his family is a fantastic stride forward in terms of his recovery. So Dougie, my friend, you're in my prayers, you're in my heart, and you have all the support from NARSA and the NARSA family here, and hopefully we'll be able to get you some funds there. I'm certainly going to be donating later today once I get a chance to get back on my computer after my work is done. So all the very best to the entire family, and we will do what we can here. Okay, I have a pre-birthday announcement. Normally I blow them like I did with Greg and Stella's birthday over the last couple of weeks there, but I have a pre-birthday here for a good pal of mine, Jamie Hastings, who is going to be 50 years old this Friday on Dundee United Day. And we are having a wee bit of a do on Saturday at Jamie's place. If you have not been invited, that you can talk to Jamie about that. I don't control the invites. It's nothing to do with me. But I am looking forward to that on Saturday. I'm hoping that he comes down for the game so I can buy him a pint on Friday. But I think him and his lovely Mrs. Amy might be doing something kind of fun that day too. So we'll see what that looks like. But all the very, very best. Happy 50th. Welcome to the 50s club. We are planning, myself and Davey and Jamie are planning a trip away somewhere towards the end of the year to go see an NFL game and have a bit of a boys' trip. And so nothing can go wrong with that. Absolutely. I think we're targeting the LA area, so hopefully we'll have a chance to either visit the LA club or the Orange County club if Rangers are playing that weekend. And yeah, looking forward to that. So very, very many happy returns when it comes on Friday, Conk. I did one shout out for Jamie a number of years back, and he phoned me as soon as he heard it and said, take that down. Take that down right now. Take that down right now. I don't think he's going to do it with this one. If he does, I'll tell you right now, I'm not taking it down. So that's just the way that it's going to be. But happy birthday, my friend. I love you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the weekend. Just another quick reminder here that we do have the Rangers Ladies Lunch coming up next month. That's, what's that, 3 weeks away now? Just over 3 weeks away, and that's on August 21st. The tickets are £75, and it's kind of sponsored by and supported by Harrods Beauty. You'll get a whole bunch of cool stuff happening that day. In terms of a convention update, it's a very similar update to last week, where I said we are starting to scout out some locations and putting some feelers out to some tourist associations based on the locations, and having conversations with various locations. And it is genuinely various locations in both countries, in Canada and America. So we're going to gather some information. We're going to get together as an executive team, and we are going to find out what we think is the best based on the information that's been provided by our guests and the information that we have gathered from the various locations as well. I think this is just going to be one of these ones that's going to take a wee bit of time to play out. I would love to make the decision this week and say this is where we're going, and then that's it. But we have some due diligence to do, and we'll do that due diligence, and then we'll get you the information that we can get you when we can get you it. So I wouldn't hold your breath to say that's going to happen between now and next week, but maybe we target, maybe I'll push Alan and Brian to target, let's make an announcement by the end of August, something like that. And then we're truly back in business in terms of the actual organisation, and then the countdowns and such there. Just a quick reminder again from another NARSA business perspective that if you're club executive have changed, if your location has changed, please do let us know. NARSA Communications at gmail.com for now. There's another email address coming, as I mentioned earlier, and let Colin know what the details are so we can get the website updated, and we can make sure that the socials and such are all updated too. Well, that we put something out on the socials maybe of what that looks like. And just another reminder, in terms of logistics here, I did mention last week that Leo and I are going out of town. Every time I mention I'm going out of town, Erin, my love, gets a wee bit upset. She's like, why are you telling people where are you going? Where you're going? That's unsafe and things like that. I don't think anybody cares where I'm going, but I'm going to be out of town next week. I'm going to be literally out of country next week. And I'm not going to tell you where I'm going because that upsets Erin, but it's a place that rhymes with Merlin, right? And it's a place that I thought had a good chance of winning the World Cup, but they didn't, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp is going to fix that for next time. But I can't tell you where I'm going because I don't want to upset my love. That's the last thing I would want to do. However, I'm going to actually be in the country then next week, taking my laptop and such like that, but I won't have my mic and I won't have the whole setup. I'll get you a podcast next week. It's probably going to be in English, maybe in German. You never know how much I can pick up in a day, and we'll see how that goes. And then the following week, I'm back, and we'll see what sort of condition I'm in. But I think I'm going to be okay because it's kind of a touristy type thing, not like a booze bag thing. So we'll see what that looks like. But I'll get you a pod. I promise I'll get you a pod next week. On to communications for this week. There's a Gers guide. The Gers guide is back. Now, who knew? So this week we have for today, we have the West Ham United, the highlights from yesterday. I don't want to spoil a surprise, but you're not going to miss any goals if you miss it. And then there's a My Gers open training session, which is probably done by now. I'm recording right now. It's 10:42 a.m. And then there's also a press conference with Mo Diamandi as well. They do this funky thing where you get to publish some of the press conference stuff on the day of the game, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, and the rest of it gets embargoed for the newspapers until the Monday. I'm sure that'll go by the way of the dodo at some point in the future, but there's a press conference with Mo Diamandi and speaking very well in it as well. Tomorrow there's an under-19 game. Wednesday is a press conference for Dundee United, like I mentioned a wee bit earlier. Not so much happening on Thursday, and then Friday's a big one. Big one for us, 8 p.m. UK kickoff time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 1 p.m. Calgary time, noon Pacific time as well. So yeah, I've got all the stuff covered there, and then not a whole bunch happening on Saturday and Sunday. So that will do it for this week, my friends. Thank you for persevering with the podcast over the close season. It's been a very, very quick close season with the World Cup and such, been able to entertain us during that particular time, but it's all about the Rangers, isn't it? And it's great to get back to Rangers being at the forefront of our minds. Please get off to a good start. I don't want to be on a downer on my first full day of holiday there, and I want to be able to come to you with some gusto and some celebration and some, hey, did you see this? And then we'll see how it goes. So that will do it. Please do share this episode with someone you think might enjoy it. Oh, guess what I get to do this week? I actually get to spend the game with my good pal Stephen Johnson from the NARSA Executive. He's in the province right now. I think he's in Red Deer, and he's going to be travelling down to Calgary on Friday, and I'm going to go pick him up, and we are going to take him down to the game. And I promised him I would pick him up and get him to the game, and there is absolutely no way I'm going to be able to get him anywhere after the game because I'm going to partake in some beer, and I'm pretty sure Stephen is as well. So we'll get a chance for a couple of the executive to be in the room at the same time. It's not very often that happens. Well, Brian and Alan get to do it a lot now these days, but that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing Stephen there. Thanks as always to our partners at SEKO for all of your help and your support. And as I say, folks, here's to starting on very, very much a positive front foot. I would take 3 or 4-0 on Friday, Derek, if you don't mind, my friend. And until next week, please do take care of yourself and all the very best, okay? Follow.